What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well. Eleanor Roosevelt was right. America is all about speed, and that's why in this video we're talking about 5 cheap and easy ways to increase horsepower in your car or truck. All right, guys, so the first cheap and easy thing you can do to your car or truck is install a high flow air filter. Think of your engine as a big air pump that sucks air in and pushes air out. If you can help it do this better and more efficiently, essentially help it breathe better, it will increase the power of the engine, and that's exactly what a high flow filter does. Every vehicle is different, but you should be able to find one for your car or truck for about 50 to 60 bucks, which isn't too bad. If you can spend a little more money, I recommend getting an entire cold air intake kit, but you should still see some gains by just using a filter alone. In the description below, I'm going to post a link to a video that shows that a Mustang gained almost 6 horsepower and about 5.5 pound-feet of torque just by using a high flow filter alone. All right, so the next cheap and easy thing you can do to your car or truck to increase power is change out all the fluids to synthetic fluids. So synthetic fluids are basically better lubricants, and what they do is essentially reduce friction on internal parts and components of the engine, the transmission, and the rear end. They just allow the internal mechanical parts to work more freely, and they also reduce the wear and tear on these parts. So one of the end results of this reduced friction is more power. And in the description below, I'm going to post a link to a video that shows that a Camaro gained about 8 horsepower from using all synthetic fluids in the engine, the transmission, and the rear end. If you can do this yourself, you're probably looking at about 100 bucks, maybe a little less, which isn't bad at all. Another cheap and easy thing you can do is install a high performance chip or tuner. Currently on my truck, I have this Livernois 91 octane high performance tune installed, and then I also bought this high performance chip that I'm going to install on the C4. Essentially what tuners and chips are designed to do is recalibrate the computer to be a little more aggressive and a little more performance oriented. I've used both tuners and chips on my cars, and I've really been happy with the results. Of the 5 things that we're talking about today, a chip or a tuner would probably be the most expensive. So for a chip, which is what you would use on older 80s and 90s cars, you're probably looking at about 100 to 200 bucks. And then for a tuner, which would be late 90s and on cars, you're probably looking at anywhere from 300 to 600 bucks. So again, a little pricey, but it's still a lot cheaper than all the other high dollar mods out there. In the description below, I'm going to put a link to Livernois' YouTube channel. They do tons of dyno tests on various cars using various tunes, so I highly recommend checking that out. And I would say you could expect to gain anywhere from 15 to 25 horsepower on average by using a tuner or chip. Free mods are an awesome way to increase horsepower on your car or truck, so I would recommend going out to a forum on the interwebs that is specific to your vehicle and just researching what free mods people are doing to their cars that will increase power. I've been able to find stuff for most of my cars, and usually what it entails is just removing or adjusting a part or component that wasn't really necessary from the factory, and you can usually gain a little bit of power. An example of this on my C4 Corvette is what's called the throttle body coolant bypass mod, and I'm not going to go into too much detail on it. You guys can look it up, but on this car there's coolant flowing through the throttle body. Basically it was designed this way to prevent the throttle body from freezing in extremely cold temperatures, but there's one big negative effect. Essentially what that does is it heats up the air going into the engine. Well, hot air is not your friend, and so by connecting the lines that go in and out of the throttle body and basically bypassing the throttle body altogether, that will allow cooler air to flow through the throttle body and the plenum, which should result in more power. Anyway, this mod can be done on a lot of different cars, and in the description below I'm going to post a link to a dyno test that was done on a 96 Firebird, and by having the coolant bypass done, the car gained over 6 horsepower and about 7 pound-feet of torque. So get out there and find those free mods, guys. The last cheap and easy thing that I'm going to talk about that you can do to your car or truck to make it faster and increase horsepower is give it a tune-up. If your car has a bunch of older parts and components, they could be robbing you of power. So specifically, I recommend changing out spark plugs, spark plug wires, your cap and rotor if you have it, coils, make sure your timing is right. All those things will help restore power, and depending on the parts that you use, they could increase power. Tune-ups are pretty easy and straightforward, and they're cheap. You could probably do a full tune-up for about 50 to 100 bucks, maybe a little more if you're using higher quality or high performance parts. but it's definitely something I recommend. I don't have any dyno proof on this one, just because I feel like this is common sense stuff. So definitely recommend doing a tune-up on your car to restore power and you know, in a lot of cases increase power. One other thing I wanted to mention, guys, is that in addition to increasing power, one other added benefit to doing these things to your car or truck is that it should improve gas mileage. So if you were to do these things and then maybe drive conservatively for a little while, take note of your gas mileage. You should see a small improvement there, which is cool. You're kind of killing two birds with one stone with these things. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful and maybe learned a thing or two. If you want to add anything to this list of cheap and easy things that you can do to increase power, please do so in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe for future content. And again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.